I mentioned earlier the illegal conduct as outlined by Sheriff Schmeling in Racine County in regard to 5 out of the 6 WEC commissioners knowingly, deliberately, intentionally, and publicly violating the law when it comes to protecting our elderly in continuing care facilities. That's the part that I said, well, I can talk about that all I want, but unless we've got something a little more powerful than my words. And I'd ask you to be introduced to Walt Jankowski. All of these people have signed all of the requisite releases and have bravely come forward, by the way. Walt Jankowski's son, Walter, couldn't find his father's voting records. He looked on the MyVote website and discovered that his father had requested a mail-in ballot. Mr. Jankowski voted and returned it all before Election Day. The Waunakee clerk told the son that since no one in nursing homes has an ID, they aren't required to provide ID. All they have to do is give consent. The son asked how his dad gave consent since he doesn't speak or write. And the clerk said that pointing isn't acceptable or an eye wink would be okay as well. I want you to meet Mr. Jankowski yourself.
Okay, I'm Walt Jankowski. I'm 62. This is my dad, Walt Jankowski, exact same name. The second, he is 84, born in 1937.
And do you have the power of attorney? Or
Yeah.
You do. Okay, good.
I've been a guardian.
And you're a guardian?
Yeah.
Have you been making the decisions for all of them?
Yes.
Okay, healthcare and financial?
Since I've been 17.
Since you've been 17, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
How long has your father been institutionalized?
He's been here since about 1976, 75, 76, somewhere in there.
And with respect to the cognitive decline, how did that get going?
Dad had a brain surgery in Canada back in the early 70s, and it didn't go very well, and he's been basically institutionalized ever since.
And you've been his guardian since you were 17?
Yeah, so as soon as I turned 17, my mother thought I could take on a little more responsibility. So.
Right, and so with respect to the voting, were you surprised that your father voted in 2020?
I was. I actually, after I looked on the I Vote Wisconsin thing, I looked and I'm like, oh, this can't be true. He requested a absentee ballot and then he filled it out himself. And the only record showed of any voting for him was in that election, of course, since he's been in these institutions.
Which election was that?
What?
Which election? November 2020?
Yes, last November's presidential election.
And then there was a circuit court judge, Vincent R. Biskupic, established the guardianship.
Correct.
And so Sandra Klitsky is the ward, and you're the guardian.
Correct.
And Sandra, you knew about that, and that was what. And you're the only child, right, Lisa?
I am the only child.
That's right. And included in the February 21, 2020 order was a restriction on voting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. And so that's what we're talking about, because since the order, Sandy Klitsky has been voting, right?
Yes, she has.
And that caused you some concern.
Yes, it did.
Klitsky, I'm going to ask you some questions about elections, and this should take just about 5 minutes. If you don't understand something I say or ask, please tell. Let's start with, imagine that 2 candidates are running for governor of Wisconsin and that today is election day in Wisconsin. What will the people of Wisconsin do today to pick the next governor?
No, I don't like our governor.
Okay. Let's ask another question. I'm going to give you a sheet of paper.
Pause.
And so this
I just want to extend my sincere thanks.
Describes a couple candidates. So imagine the following about the 2 candidates who are running for governor. Candidate A thinks the state should be doing more to provide health insurance to people who don't have it and should be spending more money on schools. He is willing to raise taxes to get the money to do these things. Candidate B says the government should not provide health insurance, but should make it easier for employers to offer it. He believes that the schools have enough money already, but need tighter controls to make sure they use it properly. He is against raising taxes. Based on what I just told you, which candidate do you think you're more likely to vote for, A or B?
Like the governor enjoy that. The government right now. He is an asshole.
Can you speak up?
The governor.
You want to just tell them which one you think you would vote for, A or B?
B.
B?
Okay. So since if you chose B, how is voting for B better than voting for A?
I heard a lot about A, and he's a
Okay, so you've heard a lot about A, and okay. So so that's all you know about candidate
digit.
A. Yeah. So let's move on. We have another question. If candidate A were elected governor in Wisconsin, how would that affect your life?
Being an ass. Being butt.
Okay. Would you want to vote in the next election for governor of Wisconsin, or are you okay with not voting?
Right now, I don't care for him.
Okay, you don't care for him. All right. Well, that concludes the question. Now, thank you so much, Ms. Klitsky. You did a very good job in answering the questions. I'm so appreciative. And I guess with Lisa, does that kind of confirm your understanding of why the guardianship order restricted voting?
Yes.
And were the responses to the questions indicative of why the court restricted the voting right?
Yes, I do believe so.
Right. And Mrs. Klitsky, we're so happy that you participated in this, and it's really important for our project. And we really...
a memory problem, probably for 20 years. But it has progressed to the point now where she has a difficult time remembering names of people. She's not capable of making many decisions at all. Her health care decisions were turned over to me in 2009, I believe. So she's basically not capable any longer of even remaining awake for more than a few minutes. She's being fed by hand, and she's currently in hospice care. So the medications have been pretty well cut off. I've signed off on most of the medications that she gets, but any of the memory enhancement medications were long ago discontinued.
So, Chris, do you have anything to add?
Well, just to state that she is 104 years old, and a lot of people at that age aren't cognizant. It's taken a long time for us to rouse her awake to even get a word out, but she hasn't really remembered us, Jack and me, for years, maybe 5 years.
Wow. And so were you surprised that she voted in February 2021?
Absolutely.
So who discovered it? Is it?
Well, Ron and I were talking about the history of her voting, and Ron pulled up the website that lists all of the information, myvote.com, I guess it is, and so the discovery that she voted in February was very recent, within the last couple of weeks. But I was surprised to hear that she voted in the last presidential election. That kind of shocked me and put me in motion to find out what is going on here.
Did her cognitive decline get?
All right. I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Cecily Sherlock.
To the point where you think she shouldn't be voting?
Probably in 2010.
And then you were surprised that she voted in the 2020 election?
Absolutely. I had absolutely no idea that she had been voting. Much to my surprise, she had voted for the last, off and on for the last 10 years. I guess in my mind, I thought if you put your parent into a facility because they were incapacitated, they would not even be offered the vote.
Imagine that two candidates are running.
This is Mrs. June Carmichael.
For governor of Wisconsin, and today is election day in Wisconsin. What will the people of Wisconsin do to pick the next governor? You know?
No.
Okay. When the election for governor is over, how will we decide who the winner is? Do you know? How will they decide who the winner of the election is?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Let me ask you about an election between candidate A and candidate B. Here's a card. So here's some information. And so consider two candidates are running. Candidate A thinks the state should be doing more to provide health insurance to people who don't have it and should be spending more money on schools. He is willing to raise taxes to get the money to do these things. Candidate B says the government should not provide health insurance, which should make it easier for employers to offer it. He believes that the schools have enough money already but need tighter controls to make sure they use it properly. He is against raising taxes. Based on what I just told you and what's on the card, which candidate do you think you would be more likely to vote for, A or B? Would you have a choice?
No.
If you did,
Not now.
if you did have a choice, A or B, how would you choose a candidate, A or B? Would you have a method you'd choose one? If you don't have a method, that's fine too. But how would you go about choosing a candidate in an election? Do you have a way you think about it?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Would you, if candidate A were elected governor, not candidate B in your state, how would that affect your life? Do you think it would affect your life? Or how would it affect your life?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, the last question, then we're done. Would you want to vote in the next election for governor of your state? If yes, why? If not, why not? Would you like to vote in the next election? Or?
Probably.
Okay. And so, do you recall, have you voted in past elections? Well, do you remember the last time you voted?
I don't know. I think I did. I'm not sure.
Do you remember who you voted for?
No.
Okay. So, do you know who the governor is now?
No, I don't think so.
Remember?
No. Who's the governor?
Governor Tony Evers. Do you know who the president is?
President
Yeah.
of this country, or
Right, president of the country.
no? I don't remember.
That's fine. Hey, look, Ms. Carmichael, thank you so much. That was the questions, and you did very well.
Thank you.
The first of our final three interviewees is Mrs. Lila Alberts.
Vote.
They make you vote here? And so how do they make you vote?
Because I didn't want to vote, and they told me I had to.
My name is Eric.
And this is Mrs. Carol Forrest speaking about her deceased mother.
Arnold, I'm an attorney. It's December 17th. We're in Washington County, and I'm interviewing Jody Schulteis.
Sure. So my mom just recently passed away. She was
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she was 88 years old and was living in assisted living because she had dementia. And so she had what was called mixed dementia, Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. So she was at Ellen's home in Germantown, which is in Washington County, She had been there for about 2.5 years before she passed. Well, I thought I'm going to look up and see if my mom voted because it was during COVID, and I, of course, wasn't able to even go and see her. I could do Zooms or I could say hi to her through the window, but I couldn't see her, so I didn't really give a thought to the fact that somehow she could vote. So I looked it up on the MyGov vote or MyVote.
My vote, part of the Wisconsin Election Commission site. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And put in the information about her. And lo and behold, she voted in the 2020 election. She did vote before that too, but I was most interested in the 2020 election. She voted in February, she voted in April in the primary, and she voted on November 3rd, 2020.
And by that point, she had been diagnosed with the dementia,
Right.
the multiple dementias, mixed dementia, and you ended up getting some opinions of doctors, right? Could you describe what you did?
Yes. So she saw a neurologist, and he's the one who diagnosed her with MRIs and such with the mixed dementia. So he signed off on a form that would, it was about her competence. And so, and then her primary care signed off as well. And this form deemed her incompetent.
Okay, so that's your mother.
Yes.
What's her name?
Carol Forrest.
And Carol Forrest. And,
Yes.
and you're the durable power of attorney because at this point you could make healthcare decisions for her?
Correct.
And what were the names of the two doctors?
Dr. Krisner and Dr. Heder.
And basically, when the doctors sign off on this document, it means that for all healthcare decisions, now you're making the call.
Correct.
Right. And was that document honored by the assisted living facility?
Yes.
And so if there was a healthcare decision, you were involved?
Correct.
Okay. So when was that signed?
That was signed on November 5th September 5th and 6th of 2018.
Oh, 2018.
Right.
That's 2 years before the November 2020 election.
Right.
Before we see our final interview, obviously I misspoke. I apologize to Ms. Schultes. And I'd now like to introduce you to Mrs. Marie Hayden.
I'm good, Eric.
All right. Well, why don't we just get started? Gary, why don't you introduce yourself and introduce your mom?
I'm Gary Hayden. This is my mother, Marie Hayden. I'm her oldest boy.
Now, how many children?
5.
Right.
Let's see, Candy, Di, me, Rich, and Jeff.
And so, how long has Miss Hayden lived here at the facility? About.
I think 2018, 2017. What's me?
I can't. I'm
I
trying to
think
think
in
of what I got.
2017, she had after you had the stroke. Assisted living side of this facility.
Mm-hmm.
And then they moved you over to this side.
What year was that about?
That was in 2019.
Okay. And was there some cognitive decline associated with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were. Remember, they used to come in and ask you all kinds of memory tests and.
Oh yeah, vaguely.
Right. And so and how often, Gary, do you visit? Do you think, or in family members too?
We used to come every single week when she was under assisted living. Then when COVID happened, we couldn't get in at all, so we visited outside windows, and then they limited the number of visits that we could come. And there was four or five of us wanted to visit, so we'd have to take turns. So it was maybe once a month or once every month and a half.
And you and the family then, supported your mother, and you've ended up coming to your own assessments regarding her cognitive decline. It's not really based on the medical records; it's what you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is that a yes? I'm sorry. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, Ms. Hayden, we're going to ask you a couple questions then about voting. And you voted in 2020, which wasn't that long ago, and that would have been after the movement over here to the memory care unit, or over this side.
I think just before. I think it was just before we moved here.
Okay.
They had posted something on the wall saying that the election was coming up and that I believe they were going to be, I don't know if they said handing out ballots or helping people with ballots.
I don't remember either.
But then,
Something I did in the,
Right.
yeah, and we weren't here when they did it, but then when we came back and we asked my mom, and she said, I don't even know if you knew that you had voted at the time. I don't remember what
I
she
think,
said.
yeah,
But
Right.
I did. I
evidently.
think I did.
And that's why you contacted us, because you were concerned about her voting
yeah,
when she wasn't capable of voting.
yeah.
Yeah. But let's ask you some questions then. This will only take a few minutes.
I'm in no rush.
Okay. Okay.
I got all the time in the world.
Okay. All right. Well, so this is called the category assessment tool for voting. So let's just start with the first one. So I'm going to really do this slowly. I'm going to ask you some questions about elections. This should take about 5 minutes. If you don't understand something I say or ask, you just tell me that, and I'll repeat it. Some of the questions may seem very simple to you, but don't worry about that. We're just looking for answers. Do you have any questions before we begin?
No,
Okay.
I haven't the vaguest idea what you're going to ask.
Okay, here we go. So imagine that two candidates are running for governor of Wisconsin, and today is election day in Wisconsin. What will the people of Wisconsin do today to pick the next governor?
Well, they would vote.
Exactly. Good. Okay, so that's good. And the second one, when the election for governor is over, how be decided who the winner is?
One of the most votes.
Exactly. Okay, then here's the third question. And I got a older handout for you. There we go.
Briefly.
There you go. Okay, so this is.
She cannot see.
Okay. Okay.
I know there's printing there.
Okay, but I'll read it to you slowly then.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay. So, in that election, there are two candidates running for office. So, candidate A thinks the state should be doing more to provide health insurance to people who don't have it and should be spending more money on schools. He is willing to raise taxes to get the money to do those things. Candidate B says the government should not provide health insurance, but should make it easier for employers to offer it. He believes the schools have enough money already, but need tighter controls to make sure they use it properly. Raising taxes. Do you prefer candidate A or candidate B? What do you think?
They should have, I suppose, raise taxes as much as you don't like to. It's hard to take it out of your pocketbook. Oh golly, help me.
Well, it would be candidate A or candidate B, do you think?
Okay.
I can read it again.
Yes,
Candidate A thinks the state should be doing more to provide health insurance to people who don't have it and should be spending more money on schools. He is willing to raise taxes to get the money to do these things. Candidate B says the government should not provide health insurance but should make it easier for employers to offer it. He believes the schools have enough money to make sure they use it properly. He is against raising taxes. Candidate A or candidate B?
Oh, gosh, how do you know if you're doing the right thing? I would say people don't want their taxes raised, I'm sure. I have a short memory right now.
No, that's all right. Now, if let's say you like one candidate better than the other, why would you vote for that candidate? If you liked A or B,
Well, whichever provided you with the most or did the most good for you.
let's say that candidate A was your choice. How would that affect your life if candidate A that's the one that wants to spend more money in schools and is willing to raise taxes to get the money to do these things, including health insurance. If you're supporting candidate A, how would that affect your life?
It would be a little bit difficult, I would say.
Sure. So,
You'd put a hole in your pocket.
right. And so going back over it, so candidate A was for raising taxes, candidate B was against raising taxes. Do you find it hard to choose between A and B because they have different positions?
Well, I suppose, but no, I would vote, I would say if you have to raise them, well, people aren't going to like it. You can't afford it.
Would it be hard for you to make a decision, do you think?
I don't know.
One last question then, and I promised you it would be less than 5 minutes, right? So one last question.
I'm in no rush to get all day.
That's funny.
Help me.
So
I can't.
you're doing a good job.
Well, you know my life real well.
Okay. So this is a question: would you want to vote in the next election for governor of Wisconsin?
I suppose.
Okay, and so why?
So I know what's going on.
Sure. And so, saying that, I'm so appreciative that that's the end of the interview. You did such a wonderful job. Thank you for participating in the interview. And it's very helpful for our project. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you have anything else you want to say about?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I can't. I'll probably think this will be going on all day and all night now.
As soon as we're gone, you're going to have all kinds of answers, right?
No, I can't think. Wasting your money, spending it for everything that comes along, if it's not going to do you any good, or if you can't afford it.
Right. Well, thank you again, and thanks, Gary. Thank you so much. That's the end of the interview.
Madam Chair, I thank you for your indulgence of allowing approximately 25 minutes for that presentation.
Okay, I'm Walt Jankowski.
I know it seems like it got a little long for at least 3 members of your committee on their phones and computers and the like. But I tell you what, each of those 8 people and each of those 8 families, they are but representative of the approximately 92,000 residents of continuing care facilities we have in this state. And I don't mind taking a few minutes, I don't mind 1 minute, because I know how upset and disappointed I would be, and I suspect everyone in this room would be, if they found their parent or loved one had been taken advantage of, all because WEC intentionally, the 5 out of 6 commissioners intentionally and knowingly violated the law and allowed, not just did away with the special voting deputies, but the statutes of Wisconsin specifically prohibit employees of nursing homes from presenting ballots to residents, but that was done in virtually every case. Now,